show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Hey, this is your host, Daniel Martinez of the Hive With Us podcast. We have special guests today coming out of Kentucky. They are a real estate couple, which is you see it every once in a while, but it comes up every once in a while here and there. But like me personally, I cannot work with my wife. We work with my wife on a certain level, but I can't like do everyday business with her. It's just one of those things. But we're gonna have a conversation with a real estate couple, and I'm just being real here. They're laughing in the background because I don't even want to cut to them because they're both just dying. But we're going to talk about real estate as a couple, doing deals. One thing, they're really big on Twitter, which is I love Twitter and I like working with people on Twitter. But land deals, I saw they posted something about land deals like 2 days ago or something like that. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things today. I hope you stay tuned and enjoy throughout the whole show. So here's our guests, Pettway Estates, which is Darius and Courtney Pettway. Out of Kentucky. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Thank you for having us.
Yep. Good.
So one of the first things I want to ask, because I actually don't know this story, but how long have you guys been in real estate?
Since 2017.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, a lot longer than me. I started like in 18, I think. Not even a lot longer, but I started about 4 years ago. So it's been an interesting journey. Tell us a little bit how you ended up in real estate, because for me it was an accident. I don't know about you guys.
I'll let you start off.
Yeah. So I moved here doing my master's degree and didn't kind of where my master's was taking me. So I stopped that, right? And then here I am just trying to figure out something. And yeah, so with me trying to figure out something, there was a dilapidated home like right next to where we were staying. And I would just go out before and after work every day and just look at this dilapidated home and think to myself, we need to do something about that. Like we can buy this home. And then one day I mustered up the courage to tell Courtney, but she shot me down.
I was like, no.
Yeah. And so that's where I'll let her pick up the story.
So for context, we were both still working regular jobs. I was actually in human resources at U of L Hospital. And I had a coworker. We shared an office space, and she was a landlord. And it seemed like every day she had a new horror story. And she would always be like, Courtney, whatever. If you don't hear anything else I say, don't do it. Don't ever buy real estate. Don't. So for context, this is what was going on in my head when he came to me and was like, we should do this. I'm like, absolutely not. I have a coworker. She's always talking about how he's messing up her property. He doesn't pay rent, like all this stuff. It's like, you are not about to have us doing that. And long story short, it was just fear at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And he convinced me to attend a seminar, just a local workshop here. And after that, I was sold. I was able to hear people who, to my knowledge, were doing it at a huge level. And they were able to show me how to do it by step. And so that gave me a little more confidence. And so we went to that workshop in, I think, August, somewhere in the fall. And we closed on our first property like a week after Christmas.
Wow. So how long were you in your 9 to 5 before you actually went full time into real estate?
I quit in 2018, and then you quit in 2019. December 2020. 2020.
2020. Yeah.
Mhm.
That sounds about right.
Wow. Yeah, it's a real estate is like it's crazy up and down, and it sounds like you're talking to a tired landlord, one of the many. But it shows that there's like one thing I love about real estate is there's so many different sides of it that you get different projections from different people and different things that they do, and it's one of those things where like there's always bad in everything that you do, but there's always good things too that come with it. There's a huge upside, so that's why real estate is like one of those things where like you can do it, but it's so hard to sometimes. Like it took me 7 months to get my first deal, and it's like it's been crazy ever since, and hasn't stopped. And now it doesn't stop anymore.
It's a good thing though.
Yeah. So one thing I alluded to in the beginning is like how is it staying sane working with your spouse? Because like I have trouble with that. And it's okay. Like I work with my wife on a certain extent, but we can't do it every day together. We can only do it with parenting.
It's like the way I described it when we first did it, it was like lifting weights for the first time, but it's like using marital muscles that have never been used before. And so it reminds me when I really got like serious about basketball. And my coach was Coach Marcus Webb. He played for the Boston Celtics. And for the first time, he made us go in the weight room. And we began to lift. And I remember getting out of that weight room and feeling like I wanted to throw up. I wanted to pass out and just die all at the same time. Right. But that's because I didn't understand what it took to be a basketball player. So just when it comes to marriage, man, especially being married in business, it's just like that. It's just working those muscles and not only learning then, but even learning now. Today was rough. Learning to give each other grace because it ain't easy. So I sympathize with you and your wife because yeah, we understand and we're nowhere close to perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's just how you work with your wife in business is just like a culture of grace. Like I give her grace even when she acting crazy, right? She giving me grace even when I'm usually the same one. I'm kidding. I'm serious. But yeah, man, just a culture of grace and then holding your tongue. But again, that takes a lot of muscle discipline. That takes a lot of repetition. I can tell you so many stories of failing, right? Failure after failure, right? But yeah, after a while, those muscles they start to build, right? And then the next thing you start seeing when you're going to the gym. I think they call it muscle memory. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
But yeah, you start curling. It's like you start looking forward to it. Yeah, it doesn't feel good still, but you find that rhythm, like she said. But go ahead, Courtney.
It's tension. Of course, there's a lot of benefits as well. There's a lot of but there is a lot of tension, just like in a relationship, a regular marital relationship without the business component. You're two different people, two different perspectives, two different ways of doing things. And so you have to practice finding, that common ground and learning how to compromise and to major on the majors and not the minors. And so we've been working together now, going on, what year is this? 2022. So it'll be 5 years. 5 years. And not only did we have that business, we started even opening other business. So we work together all the time. So it gets easier, and you learn how to handle things better.
No,
I don't know about that. Go ahead. You go ahead.
I was gonna say
it gets easier. Wait,
go ahead. It does get easier.
Darius, you have a great answer from a male perspective. You're staying behind the line. I appreciate that. This is a real conversation. Like I said, I like having real conversations because it's a struggle. It's a struggle for a lot of people. Like I said, I do work with my wife in some ways, but and like I said, I've gotten better. I have gotten better as
Mhm.
I've been an entrepreneur for longer. I have gotten better. I will say that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
I think what has helped us too is knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses.
Yep.
I think initially when we started, we wanted each other to do certain things that we weren't strong at. So it's like you're asking for fit. So like he's a big picture guy, big vision. Asking him to do like administrative stuff would be a nightmare. Like, cause that's just not him. Or whereas me, he's the charismatic people person, stuff like that. So he's great when it comes to like managing our subs and dealing with people and
Yeah.
being in the field. Whereas me, that would be a nightmare. So it's like at the beginning, he would want me to do that, and then I would want him to do certain things, and we had to learn no. In order for us to thrive, we need to maximize our strengths and outsource our weaknesses. And so I'm not going to pressure you to do. Now, granted, there are things in business that you do that you don't want to do. But
Yeah.
as far as like having that be your primary focus or your primary task, we learn not to do that to one another because it was just a recipe for disaster.
No, I like I said, I really appreciate your candidness because, like I
Mhm,
said, a lot of people struggle with this, and like I said, no one talks about this ever. Like this is a real estate show. We're talking about real estate. Like I appreciate your candidness because this is like I normally don't go this direction, but like I said, this is something I struggled with early on because, like I
mhm,
said, I was in entrepreneurship and I struggled with this early on. But like I said, I definitely have gotten better with it over time. So I'll leave it at that. But it's such an interesting thing to see. Like say you rarely see it, but it's good and it's like when you have your partner with you working and you're working together, so much things get done efficiently, and it's crazy how
mhm.
efficient you can operate when you're operating on the same train track. You know, there's a,
Exactly.
so it's like a hidden superpower,
Mhm,
100%. That not even people even know you can have it, but it's so crazy when it does align, it just
mhm,
goes. So that's one thing I will say to couples in business. If you get on the same track and you go in the same direction, it can be a
mhm.
huge superpower that a lot of people don't have.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree. When you?
So,
No, I'm joking. Yeah, I agree. I agree.
no, I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome to see it. And I appreciate you being so candid on that. We can switch subjects now because I'm going to go. So one thing I really want to hit on is you have young children, which is not easy. So a lot of people, I really want to get that fear of doubt because a lot of people though like, oh, I have kids and
Mhm,
I'm married and I have a family to feed. Like I can't do this. Like
mhm,
I want to kill those things because for me one of the reasons why I went into entrepreneurship was when I found out my wife was pregnant. I'm like, now is a better time to do it right now because
mhm,
there's no other better time. Like once my kids are grown and going to
mhm,
school, like you get stuck in that cog.
mhm.
So, how old are your kids right now? And
So,
Go ahead,
starting
Nick.
all this, yeah,
3 and 2, and
3 and 2.
I heard someone say, I can't remember who said it, but they said your kids can't be your why and your excuse at the same time.
Ooh,
And so our kids are part of our why. Part of our why. The reason why we do this is, of course, we want to give them a much better future than what we had. But then at the same time, they can't be our excuse for, oh, well, we can't do this. We recognize that when we decided to have kids, it was going to be more challenging. It looks different, and you just it just looks different, and it's a little more difficult. You have to schedule better. You may not be able to say yes to everything. You definitely have to do better at prioritizing what's important and in setting boundaries. What else would you say?
Um, I think the most important kid thing for children, just the overall household in general, is structure.
Hmm.
Kids are like pouring fuel on a fire that was already there. So they're going to magnify
Hmm.
whatever is going on inside of your home.
Hmm.
So if you already didn't have any sort of structure, if
Hmm.
we didn't have any sort of boundaries or anything, all the kid gonna do is tap dance on those boundaries, right? and say, right? So it's so important. Like with our kids, well, my goal, even as a man, is to provide that sort of structure. Okay, you can operate within these bounds. Certain, temper tantrums are not. It's just not accepted, right? And so what that does for us, it provides a child is, especially at the younger ages, if we take advantage of that, they actually learn, and they're, I don't want to say they're not as rebellious, but they're quicker to learn, right?
Yeah.
So if you set those boundaries, even say for instance a simple thing like going to sleep, it blesses my soul that at 8 o'clock every night, well at 7:30, we start winding down, we clean up. Around 7:45, we brush our teeth. 7:50, um, we are. It's reading time.
In relation to business, though.
No, this helps in business, right?
No, it does.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Help me. She knows it. But pray for me. But yeah, man. So I'm joking. But yeah, so like when just and then when you lay them down, them actually laying down.
Yeah.
That happened because of sleep training. So I didn't play about my sleep, because if you have kids all day, now at night you need to focus on something, right? And they still won't go to sleep. At a certain point, you only human, right? So we tend to snap, right? God, I'm tired. And then you start snapping at each other, and it's like, no, let's provide some boundaries for these children, right? We love them, but at the same time, we're married to each other and we have other things to do, i.e., business. And so that structure helps us run our business. It does. That's why they're taking a nap now, but we don't have to worry about them, because they know, hey, if we're in the bed, you expected to close your eyes and go to sleep. So yeah.
One thing I will say to this part too is that the structure really helps me out too, because they're in bed at a certain time, and then for me, I'm a night owl, so I get that 2-3 hours after they go to bed to actually get some work done, where I can actually do some computer admin work and all that stuff, billing, whatever I need to do, and I don't have any that structure. And then my wife gets up early in the morning to handle the kids, so we kind of do a trade off. I do evenings and she does mornings, and it's kind of a give and take on both sides. But it wasn't like that day one.
Yeah. She considers me sort of a czar. Like day one, like I put oh Lord, some of your audience is going to judge me. It's all right though. I put my kids straight in the crib. So
there's some parents who do that.
Yeah, but like it's very few of us, because I've just had too many close friends and stuff. Because well, you may know, but you start that kid off in the bed, and they may be 6 months, and they may be ready to transition, but they're used to the warmth of daddy, the warmth of mommy, and that's a lot to deal with. So yeah.
I've never had this conversation before, so I really like digging into this, because I'm a father too, man. I enjoyed that time. Like when my wife was pregnant, that first 30 days is a nightmare. And I remember on my firstborn child, my wife, like, she was like literally like stressed, and I could see it in her face. I'm like, what do you need me to do? She's like, I just need to sleep 4 hours. And I'm like, okay, so you got to cover one feeding. I'm already a night person. I'll handle the evening. I'll handle the nights. You go to bed and you wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and do what you need to do. And like after we figured that with child number one, we did that all for all three. And I handled evenings for all my kids. Like I would take over like 9 p.m. to 1 in the morning, and that was my shift. And sometimes I'd be there for 4 hours, just holding my baby, rocking them to sleep, feeding them. And I enjoyed that time, because it was one of those things where like not many fathers experience that.
Exactly.
Not many fathers experience that. So I enjoyed that time. Like I still have a playlist I used to play for my kids. That I would play like when I had them for that 2-3 hours. It was like a 2-3 hour playlist that I still play for them. So like we just went on a road trip and I played it for them just to see if they remembered. And it was one of those things where like it was a really core memory for me as a father, just to take care of my kids at night, and I really enjoyed it.
You got me reminiscing, bro. We had shifts too.
We didn't start off with shifts. We had to learn like you did.
Yeah.
At first, we were like rotating like every 2 hours or something
Yeah,
crazy.
it was
And
every
then we were like, why are we doing this? So we decided to do the shift thing too. So it definitely worked
The
out.
girl had me on the lead. She got smart. So what she did was, so she wouldn't be the one, getting up. She pumped, and she pumped like a lot. We had like 2 freezers full
I had to
of
buy a
milk.
second deep freezer because I was pumping so
So
much.
much. And so what happened was like, yeah, so every time DJ or Avery, whenever they would get up, kind of like throughout the night, especially during our shifts when we shifted to that, like I was just feeding them and rocking them and all
So
of that stuff.
I'm not gonna be one of those moms that would be the only one getting up. Like we both gonna do this.
But his wife came up with the same thing. So yeah.
No, it's cool, man. I love this story. Like I said, I'm just glad to have this conversation with somebody else because this is like, I've never told anybody this. This is the first time, and I talk a lot.
You're all right.
Oh, you're fine.
So let's kind of translate this to this business. So like you kind of figured out early on like what's been like the biggest benefit you've received from working with your spouse in general, that you've been able to like handle more projects, handle more businesses, it seems like, and maybe do side projects. I know you have the Kid Vesters things too. Whose idea was that? So it's kind of go like the benefits you can from amplifying and really going on the same track and same speed.
I think you said it. It's
Yeah.
being able not just to have, help. Like you said, there's a lot of solo founders, solopreneurs out there who are married, but for whatever reason, the wife or husband not involved just because of either, lack of confidence, no knowledge, or just not interested. So to have someone who shares the interest, just as eager and motivated as you to accomplish things. And then you can, I don't have to worry about being everywhere at once when we can split responsibilities. And so it's just been it's a blessing. That would definitely be the biggest benefit.
Yeah.
Let's jump down the Kid Vesters thing. How'd that come about, and what's that about in general? I'm curious.
I'm gonna start this one off because you don't even remember.
Well, I can tell you what I do remember.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so she said that she was just asking me a question. Dude, she asked me so many questions. So,
I am a question asker.
Yeah. So she was asking me a question like, hey, what can we do, to make a difference? What can be our next entrepreneurial move? And so I was like, a kid's book. And then I guess I explained it. And
no, you didn't. So you don't remember the story.
No, I didn't say a kid's book.
No. So we were already in real estate. This was right before the pandemic hit. It was early 2020. And of course, us being entrepreneurs, we were like, okay, like he did say that correct. Like we were just always trying to figure out, okay, what else can we do to bring in more, streams of income? And so he said, kids book. And I thought it was brilliant. I was like, this is amazing. And so literally, it was like early in the week. I think that same week we started writing. So one thing about us, when we find out information, we act on it. We don't sit on the information. We're going to execute on it. Never wrote a book in our life. Don't know the first thing about publishing. Don't know anything. We wrote the book. We finished writing it. And then we were like, well, crap, we don't know how to draw. So we need to find an illustrator. We, finally found an illustrator. Then we were like, okay, great. Well, who's going to publish it? So, we finally came up with all of these moving parts. We go to the publisher. And of course, the first book was about real estate. Kid Vesters was supposed to be nothing more than like a storybook that you read before you go to bed. Publisher is like, guys, I understand what you're trying to do, but I don't think anybody wants to read about real estate before they go to bed. And we were like, you know what? He has a point. And after we were talking, we realized we just really had a passion to teach. To go back even further, before he ever introduced me to real estate, I was already investing in the stock market. I had actually introduced him to investing in the stock market. He introduced me into investing in real estate. And so when we were talking to our publisher and among ourselves, we were like, we really want to just teach kids. And so that's how we got the idea of Kidvestors and to just go ahead and do a full out curriculum on just money management basics, stock market investing, real estate investing, entrepreneurship, etc. And so that's how it came about.
So how many books do you have out now?
So we have one out currently, and one is going to be out before the end. The stock market set is going to be out before the end of this year.
Yeah. It's really expensive.
No, it's not. Don't tell. Oh, you're saying it's expensive for us to make it? Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
It really is.
Well, I mean, it goes back to show like it's a passion. It's a passion. Like everybody wants to make a difference and make some type of legacy, and that may turn out to be it. It may be bigger than Pettway Estates. You know, who knows? You know, you never really know the impact you can make just by creating. And I think that's the difference between creators and consumers. So creators are going to create, consumers are going to consume. So
right. We knew we were on the right track when we launched. So we had started working on it 2020. We did not announce it publicly till April 2021 because we wanted to, do things right, have our IP in place, trademark everything, domains, website, all the legal background stuff, right? And we knew we were on the right track when I think we released it that week. And we had 2 investor meetings scheduled within 2 weeks. We were like, this has never happened before. So like, I think we were like, we think we may be on to something. So yeah.
That's amazing. We're working on a book right now ourselves. So it's an interesting endeavor in general.
Yeah. Good luck. Look, books are really fun.
5 years ago, I never would have even thought about it. But I was a truck driver, so I was totally different.
Oh, you're big money, yeah.
So it's I've come down a different path. But who knows where it's at? But so let's talk about let's kind of pivot. We talk about Kidvestors, talk about family, talk about a lot of different stuff. Let's talk about real estate. I think it's kind of the main point.
Yeah.
So you guys are doing construction. Are you guys doing new builds? What type of construction and like real estate in general are you doing it?
So our focus is renovations from small to large scale. We do build ups we do ground ups in the sense like there was one of our clients who they got plenty of money, but they wanted to add on a 3-car garage to their current property.
Add-ons.
Yeah, so we built that up and we added that on. That's probably the most we'll do in regards to build up, so to speak. But our niche is really bathrooms, kitchens, and then on the investment side, we will buy a property, as you know, and do a full gut, and then our colleagues or investor friends, you may call them, they may buy a property, and then we'll also, renovate that property, whether it's residential or commercial. So, yeah.
So we primarily do residential renovations. We have not broken ground. We have not done new construction. It's funny though, because we always joke and we're like, we basically do new construction. Because I don't know if you've seen like any of our properties. They're like really, really, really bad to like just pretty much we're putting everything new in it. So it's new construction, but because you're technically not breaking ground, it's not. But yeah, that's pretty much what we do.
So you're only in the Louisville market, right? Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So it's the evolution of investors is always cool to see because you can go a lot of different directions, and you kind of find something you like doing and niche down and run with it. And a lot of people go a lot of different directions, so it's kind of cool. So I'm a land investor, so can we talk a little bit about land?
Okay.
My client base likes listening to land talk. So, what's your experience on land, and like, do you have any stories that were interesting to you about land in general?
Not yet. So we've only bought properties. We haven't actually just bought land yet. We're actually looking into starting to do that, buying land and building on it. ourselves, because our market has changed, as like a lot of markets. When we first started, we were investing in specific zip codes. And like for one zip code comes to mind, you could easily get a property there, under $50,000. Again, context, we're in Louisville, Kentucky. People might be listening like $50,000. Yes, that was very common. You can get a property for $50,000. You may put around 100 into it, and you can sell it anywhere from like 230 to 250. In those same areas, you'll be lucky to find a dilapidated home for under 100 in those same areas, 5 years later. And so we're recognizing that although it's not impossible to find the margins we were looking for, it's gotten a little more difficult. So we are exploring buying land, because now that we're also licensed and we have basically our own team, the cost to build would actually make more sense in some cases than flipping.
Yeah.
Or renovating. So it is something we are definitely exploring right now, but we haven't done it just yet.
Interesting. Yeah, we just buy and flip it. We don't do nothing to it in most cases. We're just buying at a wholesale price and selling it on terms.
Okay.
So are you actually wholesaling it, or are you closing on it and then reselling it?
It depends on the property, but we bought 100 acres last year and subdivided it and sold it. And then
wow.
A lot of the stuff we do is just get owner finance. We like owner financing stuff all the time. So
Okay, yeah, that's good too.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Look at that. I love the ingenuity.
And you're in what market?
Yeah,
Texas.
Okay.
Okay.
Which part?
Yeah, what part?
All over Texas. I actually live in Cali, but we do.
Oh, you live in Cali. Okay, got you.
Yeah, my partner lives in San Antonio, so we do a lot of stuff all over Texas in general.
Some of our partners, the majority of our partners live in Cali, so yeah.
Our investor partners.
Yeah, our investor partners. So yeah.
Well, I mean, Cali's where there's a lot of money out here. There's a lot of money to invest, so they're always looking to place it in different markets in general that cash flow better. And it sounds like you have a good cash flow market in general.
Yes, cash flow market.
You said it. There you go.
We don't have a great appreciation market as much.
So, what is a quote, yours or somebody else's, that you resonate with?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is a quote that is yours or somebody else's that you resonate with?
I'll let you go first. I need to think about
mine. Being a lifelong learner. I learned that during my undergrad. Not reacting to change, inevitable change, or things that you can't control in a negative way, but embracing it instead of being upset about it. Just being a lifelong learner, learning to adapt. Adaptability is probably the most important trait of an entrepreneur. Being able to, you can call an audible, but if you see the defense coming from the other side, you need to be able to switch up real quick, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, just being a lifelong learner and being committed to that mantra in every aspect of life, in marriage, in fatherhood, just being a lifelong learner.
For me, I'm probably jacking this quote up, but it's along the lines of the overnight success took 10 years, something along that line. And it's just a reminder for me. I tend to want things quick. I think a lot of people want quick, but I can definitely be impatient and want things. I want things like right now. Like I want it to happen right now. But I have to learn that, some of the most successful financial success does look different for everyone. But regarding business specifically and financial success, realizing that some of those 1%ers and entrepreneurs that a lot of us look up to, they didn't just start yesterday. A lot of them didn't just start 2 years ago. To have longevity and to have long-term success takes a while. And I know that can be hard, especially in the social media age where it seems like everybody became a multimillionaire overnight. And that's really not the reality for most cases. And so, just learning to be patient and to, run your race at your pace. But yeah.
Yeah, it's the timeline doesn't always come as fast as you want it to. But as long as you're consistent about it, it always comes.
Yes.
You said it. consistency,
That's
that
it.
discipline. That's yeah. You preaching now, Doc.
No, like I said, it's a little thing, but it's like I said, I've been doing real estate for 4 years now, and I'm still learning. But it's one of those things where hey, it's an everyday thing, and you still got to put in the reps.
Mm-hmm.
You have to put in the reps every day. You have to show up every day, and it doesn't get easier. I mean, it does get easier, but it gets a little more stressful because now you're building teams around you. You start bringing on employees. How big is your guys' operation right now?
As far as manpower, so it's just two of us. We have contractors, and so we don't have any employees or anything like that.
We're 1099 city. We run lean. So
we really do.
We'll hire. Of course, from sub electricians, plumbers, framers, roofers, drywallers, craftsmen. We just 1099 everything because at the end of the day, A, we run lean, and B, we love profit. So
I love different people. They actually go to hire employees. Some people go down the 1099 route where they just outsource everything. What's the benefits of 1099 in your opinion?
So for starters, one of our mentors said one of the reasons a lot of businesses fail is they scale too quickly. And I really hung on to that. And especially, even though we've been in business for going on 5 years, I still consider ourselves a relatively new business. And so when you're still in the building phase, it's really hard to build, but then at the same time, you're trying to figure out how you're going to meet payroll and all of the other things that come with having employees. And so while we're building now, we're not saying we'll never get to that phase, but we just like the fact that we can work for hire. We don't have to. We actually have another peer here who's also a general contractor, and he's having to invest in properties that may not be as profitable or take on projects that he may not necessarily want because he has employees and he's trying to keep them working.
And keep them fed.
And that's stressful, especially as a newer business. And so that's why we're running lean right now.
No, I think it's kudos amplification because you can hold your contractors to another standard versus employees. We have to be somewhat nicer to them. With 1099s, you're get this done. This isn't done right. What are you guys doing? Come on. You give me more of the cost aspect versus with the employees to be more friendly.
Right. So we are huge 1099 people.
And I think the downside, we like to be honest and give both sides of the coin. The downside is controlling costs, right?
Okay.
So we still buy materials, but labor costs, right? We have to do our best to control that. But at the end of the day, if you got a 1099 worker, you need plumbing done. You say, hey, I got this project. How much is it gonna cost? Right. And my stomach turns every time, right? So that's the other side of the game. So it's two sides to a coin. So the good part about having employees is that you know they're going to show up to work every day. They may not be as motivated because they're going to get paid regardless, right? But at least you have a set payment and a set cost. That's where with the 1099 employee, he can pull somebody out his behind. Now you can find other plumbers, but it's stressful. It can be stressful sometimes having to be okay, this guy is on one this week, so let me go and use my backup plumber, right? So it's the up and downside to everything.
You're juggling a lot of management.
Yes.
It's an interesting answer. There was a investor I met out in North Carolina when I actually used to live in Georgia, but I met him out in North Carolina, and he had a big construction company and everything, had employees, make payroll and all that stuff. And then he's like, after years of doing that, I kind of let it all go, and now I do just 1099 hire contractor stuff, and it's easier that way in his opinion because he does a lot of projects, and it's just him and an admin. And that's it. And he can do a lot of things because he outsources everything through 1099. So there's definitely some pros and cons with it, but it's cool to see you're the first person that I've talked to in a while that has mostly 1099. Like I said, I did an interview with him a while back, and he was one of the big ones in my head that did that. So it's kind of cool and interesting talking to people that do that in general. because it's rare. Most people are like, I'm gonna hire I have Juan that does the drywall, and I got Pablo that does the plumbing, and they have their people, you know.
Yeah, yeah. That's facts.
Mhm. And you can like he was saying, the cost if we wanted to just hire someone would probably be, I don't want to say cheaper because it might be cheaper in labor, but then you're going to make up that cost again because you got to pay payroll and all of that stuff and
Payroll
payroll
taxes.
taxes and all of that stuff. So it's like, are you really saving money when you think about the other costs involved beyond just the labor? So those are things you have to factor in.
So one thing I'm gonna ask you is because you kind of alluded to it, and I'm guessing that's what it is. But you have a lot of private money in place to do a lot of what you do.
Yes.
What's a trick to get private money, in your opinion?
What's it take? Is
What's
that what
a
you
trick?
asked?
A
What's the
trick?
trick?
Man,
Have a
like
good deal.
have a good deal and know your stuff
Yeah.
because all there may be like a random person call you or
Mhm.
want to meet up with you and they'll just ask you questions about it about like real estate. Sometimes like one out of 40 or 50 of those people might be probing you because they have money and they're just nervous
Mhm.
about lending it. They're considering lending it, but when you know your stuff, I remember being downtown here in Louisville, and there's a woman who was just asking us question after question because she was nervous.
Mhm.
But one thing that gave her confidence is we knew, our deal like the back of our hand. He said, "Oh, what if this happens? Well, if that happens, we have this exit strategy. What if that happens? If that happens, we can do this." And then just giving them the reassurance that you've done your homework.
Mhm.
But it's really no magical answer. We only begin to get a lot of private money after we had a whole lot of work done, and we could be like, "Are you concerned about this property? Well, here's three other properties that we did that will fall in this category. Oh, you're concerned about, this Victorian home? Well, here, 4 or 5 properties that we've done that are similar to this."
Mhm.
So that it kind of gives them a little confidence when they can see your portfolio, see your sweat equity,
Mhm.
and they're much more likely to give to you. So
And for those who are not listening, because we used private money for our first deal ever.
yeah,
Of course, we didn't have real estate background, we didn't have any experience. So there might be people out there right now who were in our shoes 5 years ago. Um, and so you just have to be confident. And even if you don't have the actual experience, at least have the knowledge and the confidence, essentially. And that it's actually a good deal, even if you need to take your deal to another investor. Just for them to look it over and just to verify your numbers before you present to the investor. Those things can show an investor, okay, this person has done their due diligence. This person seems knowledgeable, even if they don't have the portfolio yet.
One thing I'll say to that is, I know you guys do really well is documenting the process. If you
Yes,
document the process very well, you can always show the receipts
right,
to assure that person that you're doing the right thing and you're going to do the
right,
right thing with their money in their best
right.
interest.
We had one girl, she was so nervous because she this is her first time investing with us, and she drove here, and we showed her at the time 3 properties. One we had just done, one we were going to start, and one we were in the process of finishing. And like, even if you don't have those physical properties, or maybe you just have photos, but documenting is key. You want to have a trail, and that's something that we tell people as well when you're pitching to them. Not just tell them about the potential deal, show them what you've done, how much money you made, etc.
Mm, 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 mm. Are you guys book readers at all? Because I'm not, but
He
I'm
is.
sure
I'm not
one
even
know.
a book reader.
Can you
oh
recommend?
well, yeah. It's not like I enjoy it. I do it because I have to. But yeah, go ahead.
Can you recommend 2 books? This is questions for Darius. Can you recommend 2 books?
Uh, Let me see. I would say The Elimination of Hurry. There's a book called Anxious Church, Anxious People. This is written by a psychologist, though. I know the name may turn some people off, but it deals with the psychology of human interpersonal actions and reactions, right? and it's just it's small. That's why I really like this book. It's small, right? But after you read it, it will have you like just analyzing what you're doing and really why you're doing it. And it just causes you to go deep within yourself to understand yourself and thereby treat others better. I know our marriage was blessed because of it. Even my subcontractors, they probably saw a difference in me. Like, oh, he's not as upset anymore. Well, that's because I realized, okay, you're ticking me off right now. Either I can explode or we can get this project done, right? But yeah, that book right there, Anxious Church, Anxious People, was really good. And then the Elimination of Hurry, those two books.
Man, that was good. I have to check those out. I like the short books, so the short books get my interest.
I got you.
So, where I always like leaving the episodes are like, where can people send you deals? Where can people learn more about you in general, and this opportunity to plug yourself.
If you want to work with us, we do invest and do construction in Louisville, Kentucky. So if you want to work with us, be it invest with us, or if you want to sell us a property, or if you need us to buy a property from you, you can go to pettwayestates.com. If you want to learn from us and learn how to invest, you can go in real estate. You can go to flippinga2z.com, flippinga2z.com. And if you want to teach your kids how to invest, go to thekidvestors.com. Kidvestors like investors, but kid in front. But yes, thekidvestors.com. And we're Pettway on all social media.
There you go. We appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on. I hope the kids will be ready and well rested when we go for nap time. But thanks for your time. I appreciate you all coming on, and thanks for producing content and producing good things in the world.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.1listguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.
No problem.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
We appreciate you as well for having us on here. And thank you for you doing the exact same thing. Y'all know you keep up the good work and Godspeed.
Blessings.
All right, thanks, guys. Catch them online at Pettway Estates. Go check them out. Have a great day, guys.